and welcome to NTD UK News. I'm Stuart Lees, and here are today's top stories. The Prime Minister gives an update on the final step in lockdown easing. Wimbledon has the green light to host full capacity crowds from Tuesday, earlier than previously planned. And we take a closer look at CCTV cameras and who makes them. Could the devices that are meant to keep us secure actually be a security risk?
They can zoom in and collect a number that's being dialed on a phone. They can look at passwords. They can record and hold that recording. They can do facial recognition.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson sets out plans today for the final step in easing England's COVID-19 lockdown, including guidance on social distancing, face coverings and working from home. NTD's Neil Woodrow asks Londoners how they feel about losing their face masks.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced on Monday that England will return to near normal for the first time since March 2020, as he set out plans to lift almost all remaining COVID restrictions. From July the 19th, all restrictions on social gatherings and mass events will end, and so will the legal requirement to wear a mask indoors. Pubs and bars will no longer have to serve customers sitting down, and nightclubs will be allowed to open their doors for the first time in 16 months. Capacity limits for theatres and cinemas will be lifted, and the government's advice for people to work from home will be dropped. The Prime Minister told a news conference,
"We must be honest with ourselves that if we can't reopen our society in the next few weeks, when we will be helped by the arrival of summer and by the school holidays, then we must ask ourselves, when will we be able to return to normal?"
Earlier, I asked Londoners how they feel about losing their face masks. This lady is not happy that the wearing of masks will be voluntary.
Because my mother hasn't been ill for 2 years, where she's always been a bit ill just through, I think, staying away from people and wearing a mask. She's 93 and usually she's quite ill.
This gentleman thinks if people feel comfortable, they should go ahead and not wear the mask. But he says it's not easy to know what the right way is.
It's a difficult one to answer because no one knows the full facts, do they? And that's the truth of it. One side of the conspiracy theory said it's all made up, and the medical people say it's a real problem. So somewhere through that, we've got to live our lives, haven't we?
This man says he feels relaxed about the voluntary mask wearing.
You know, from day one they were saying as soon as 60% of the population are vaccinated, then there shouldn't be a problem, and it's all about protecting the health service. So, you know, we're going to have to learn to live with it, aren't we?
And this gentleman says it's time to move on.
I'm happy. I think, you know, I think I've had enough of it now. Obviously, if I feel unsafe in a particular area, then I've got the option to wear it if I do feel like it. But I think we've all reached the stage where we just want to get rid of them now.
This lady has concern for her elderly parents.
I would rather they weren't voluntary, just because at the moment there's such a rise in cases. And you don't, even if you've had the jab, you're not immune. So personally, I'd rather not infect my elderly parents unknowingly.
Although the restrictions are changing, the Prime Minister says the pandemic is far from over. Neil Woodrow, NTD News.
The Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, is self-isolating at home after contact with someone who tested positive for COVID-19. It puts a halt on any royal engagements this week as the Duchess completes 10 days in isolation. NTD's Joy Duguid brings us the latest.
An event at St Paul's Cathedral to celebrate the 73rd birthday of Britain's National Health Service. Prince William arriving alone after the Royal Palace announces his wife, the Duchess of Cambridge, is isolating. She had been due to attend the event on Monday, but came into contact last week with someone who subsequently tested positive for the CCP virus. Kate Middleton's last public event was a visit to Wimbledon on Friday. A keen tennis fan and patron of the All England Tennis Club, the Duchess is likely feeling disappointed. She began 10 days self-isolating on Friday, meaning she'll miss the men's and women's finals this weekend. The Palace says Kate does not have any symptoms of COVID-19. She has received both doses of the vaccine. Prince William already contracted the virus last spring, around the same time the Prince of Wales caught it. Joy Dugid, NTD News.
Wimbledon has been given the green light to host full capacity crowds from Tuesday, earlier than the previously agreed finals weekend. NTD's Joy Dugid has this report.
Wimbledon will have capacity crowds from Tuesday onwards as COVID-19 restrictions on attendance are relaxed, the All England Club announced on Sunday. Attendances have been capped at 50% since the start of the tournament last Monday. 100% capacity was not due to happen until next weekend's finals. But a successful opening week has seen the championships given early permission to operate at full capacity on the 15,000-person centre court and number 1 court. Wimbledon is being used as a pilot event for the safe return of crowds as part of the government's events research programme. It will mark the first time outdoor stadiums will be at full capacity at a sporting event in Britain since the pandemic shut down sports in March 2020. Joy Dugid, NTD News.
We're still not sure how the CCTV footage of Matt Hancock's affair was leaked and why the camera was there in the first place. The leak raises broader questions around CCTV cameras and who makes them. Could the devices that are meant to keep us secure actually be a security risk? NTD's Jane Well takes a closer look.
As the government investigates how the CCTV footage of Matt Hancock's affair was leaked, it brings up broader security questions surrounding CCTV cameras. Lord West of Spithead, who was Security Minister under Gordon Brown and formerly First Sea Lord, asked last week if any cameras on the parliamentary estate are made by the controversial Chinese firm Hikvision.
Can I ask the Noble Lord the Minister, have any of these Hikvision cameras been fitted anywhere on the parliamentary estate, as was originally the plan, or were plans altered after my warning of the dangers on the floor of this House on the 18th of October 2018?
Hikvision is controversial because of its links with the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. It's accused of making cameras that abet the CCP's alleged campaign against Uyghur Muslims and is also accused of posing privacy and security risks. It was blacklisted in the US in 2019. Lord West tells me he heard about plans to install Hikvision cameras in Parliament in 2017.
I became aware back in about 2017 or 20 that the plan, I was told the plan was to install more CCTVs in Portcullis House and other parts of the parliamentary estate. And I looked into this and it became clear that actually they were going to use Hikvision cameras. And I was very concerned about using cameras from effectively from a Chinese company, because with the forthcoming Internet of Things and 5G, these things become enabled, and these cameras can do all sorts of things. They are actually able to record data. Yes, they're filming things. They can zoom in and collect a number that's being dialed on a phone. They can look at passwords. They can record and hold that recording. They can do facial recognition.
Well, he didn't get a clear answer in the Lords. Commons authorities later told NTD that currently no aspect of Parliament's CCTV system is supplied by Hikvision, and no Chinese companies have installed or run any of the CCTV cameras on the parliamentary estate. Matt Hancock's affair was caught on camera in his office in Victoria Street. The Department of Health haven't responded about the make of camera and time for deadline. Data from 2020 finds Hikvision devices installed elsewhere in the UK. More than 96,000 Hikvision surveillance camera networks were detected in the UK and more than 330,000 in the US. And 1.7 million Hikvision surveillance camera networks were identified outside of China. Freedom of Information requests filed in 2020 found at least half of London's boroughs use Hikvision or Dahua cameras, another controversial Chinese firm.
Security aspect, even in council offices, there is a security aspect. If all that data is going to be available and be used, we see within China You know, they use facial recognition and they use this information on a grand scale to control their population. And, you know, when one looks at the fact that Hikvision are involved with the Chinese state in terms of the monitoring the Uyghurs and monitoring their population, that is of real concern. And I think we need to look at it very carefully.
It comes as questions remain over the UK's relationship with China.
Benefits from that trade. The question is, when push comes to shove and the cards are on the table and a decision needs to be made and there's a trade-off between security and our values and trade with China, where will the UK government go? And it's not immediately obvious that Britain is either in one camp or the other. So we have to continue to watch this space.
While the UK government has a drive to make the Internet of Things devices secure, experts say it's a difficult battle to fight. Jane Werrell, NTD News, London.
450 migrants were intercepted in the Channel on Sunday by UK and French authorities. It comes as the government announces heavier prison sentences for people smugglers and those entering the UK unlawfully. NTD's El Rhodes brings us this report.
According to the Home Office, Border Force officials intervened in 6 attempts to cross the Channel on Sunday involving 212 people. At the same time, French authorities reported 7 interceptions and prevented a further 238 people from reaching the UK. In the first 6 months of this year, nearly 6,000 migrants have made the perilous journey across the English Channel in small boats to the UK. Also on Sunday, the Home Office announced stricter enforcements for migrants and people smugglers as part of the Nationality and Borders Bill. The proposed legislation intends to make it a criminal offence to knowingly arrive in the UK without permission. The maximum sentence for those entering the country unlawfully will rise from 6 months to 4 years. The government also plans to toughen sentences for people smugglers. The maximum sentence will rise from 14 years to life imprisonment. Earl Rhodes, NTD News.
John Lewis plans to build 10,000 rental homes over the next few years. The department store says it wants to address the national housing shortage. John Lewis says the plans will provide a stable, long-term income and job opportunities. The properties will include studio flats and houses. Around 7,000 of the homes will be built on sites already on John Lewis's portfolio. It comes as the department store chain struggles to compete in an increasingly online marketplace. The pandemic has claimed nearly 4 million lives, but many questions remain about the origins of the virus. Museums across Europe are scouring their back collections in search of clues. NTD's Ana Rodriguez has the story.
In London's Natural History Museum, curators are digitising and cataloguing the museum's extensive collection of bat specimens. It's part of a Europe-wide project aiming to provide insight into the origins of COVID-19 and hopefully reduce the risk of future pandemics.
The hope is that all this information will help in some way to figure out where the next pandemic might break out.
The Natural History Museum's collection perhaps has 60,000 bat specimens, spanning back to the 1700s. It's thought bat specimens held in this collection represent a huge, often untapped resource.
They will have information related to specimens not just collected now, but many years in the past. And this way we can also use this data to model projections in the future and see how species are going to be affected by what we are doing in the environment.
Over a year after novel coronavirus was first identified in the Chinese city of Wuhan, questions still remain about the virus origins. In May, US President Joe Biden ordered intelligence officials to redouble their efforts to investigate the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, including any possibility the trail might lead to a Chinese laboratory. Bats are known to carry coronaviruses, and the closest relative of the virus that causes COVID-19 has been found in bats.
Certain viruses detected in bat populations have come close to be 96% similar to the COVID. And so there is a high chance that it is the bats that carry the virus, and then it sort of trickle down or transfer to other species.
9 major European collections are taking part in the project. The data will be made available to researchers around the world. Anna Rodriguez, NTD News.
Still to come, 4 people have died in Cyprus wildfires in what the country's president calls an unprecedented tragedy. That and more when we return. Thank you for watching our daily news show on YouTube. You can also watch our other programming on channel 190 on Sky TV or on Freeview via channel box on channel 271. In the meantime though, please give this video a like and hit subscribe to our channel. Have a good day.